Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the FAIS Act to follow the incredibly high-stakes career life cycle of a financial representative. If you've ever wondered exactly how the financial services industry regulates the people who manage your money, or if you're gearing up for those RE1 or RE5 exams, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down these complex regulatory concepts so they're totally approachable, easy to understand, and most importantly, easy to remember. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll meet the representative. Second, we'll look at getting the green light to operate. Third, we'll explore the ongoing rules of the game. Fourth, we'll check out the official roster. And finally, we'll face the very real danger of debarment. All right, part one, meet the representative. Who exactly are they, and who's the boss? Let's break this down simply. Think of the financial services provider, or FSP, like a McDonald's. And the representative, the rep, they're the cashier. The cashier is the one actively taking your order and handing over the product, right? But they can only do that because McDonald's actually gave them the platform and the permission to do it. In the finance world, the FSP is the big machine, your Discovery or Old Mutual or ABSA. The rep is the advisor sitting right across the desk from you. So the rep is the face, but the FSP, that's the engine. So how do you actually get that cashier job? There are two main ways. The first is pretty standard, an employment contract. They hire you, simple as that. But the second way is through something called a mandate. A mandate is literally just formal written permission to act on someone else's behalf. Imagine your grandma is feeling under the weather, so she gives you written permission to go collect her pension. That piece of paper? That's a mandate. In finance, an FSP gives an advisor a mandate to provide services under their name, even if they aren't a traditional 9-to-5 salaried employee. Moving on to Section 2, getting the green light. Approvals and qualifications. Here's the absolute crucial thing you need to remember. It is a dual approval process. Getting the nod from your FSP is a bit like passing driving school. Your instructor says, hey, great job, you know how to drive. But can you legally hop on the highway by yourself? Nope. You still need your actual driver's license from the licensing department. For us, that licensing department is the FSCA, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. The FSP approves you internally, sure, but you absolutely have to be registered with the FSCA too. They hold the official record saying you're legally good to go.
And trust me, the FSCA doesn't just hand these out to anyone. You have to be what the industry strictly calls fit and proper. This is a huge deal. It means you are totally suitable for the job based on 4 non-negotiable criteria. Are you honest? Do you have the right qualifications? Do you have enough experience? And do you actually understand the financial products you're selling? I mean, you wouldn't trust a pilot who lied on the resume and had never flown a plane, right? The exact same standard applies to the person handling your life savings. Hit all 4 of those, and boom, you are fit and proper. But that brings up a really common real-world dilemma. What if you're brand new? You're honest, you're eager, but you just don't have the full qualifications or experience quite yet. Are you just completely locked out of the industry? Actually, no. You can still work, but you have to do it under supervision. Going back to our car analogy, think of a learner driver. They don't have their full license yet, but they can legally drive as long as a fully qualified driver is sitting right there in the passenger seat. It's the exact same for a new advisor. They can give advice and learn the ropes, provided they are actively guided and supervised by someone experienced. It's the safest way to build up that required experience. Section 3, Rules of the Game. The ongoing duties of a rep. So you made it. You're an official rep. But the work definitely doesn't stop there. If you started out under supervision, like our learner driver, you've got a strict duty to finish up those outstanding requirements. You can't be a learner forever. You have to pass the exams, get the formal qualifications, and log the necessary hours. Plus, you have to complete continuous professional development, or CPD. Laws change, products evolve, and you've got to keep learning just to stay sharp. Let's quickly summarize those vital ongoing duties. First, if a client asks, you must be able to show proof of your authorization, just like handing your license to a police officer. Second, you must stay fit and proper. A doctor doesn't just drop medical ethics after med school, right? They stay professional. Third is that continuous learning, the CPD. And lastly, you have to strictly follow the FAIS Act and the Code of Conduct. Think of it like a soccer referee. You have to play by FIFA's rulebook. You can't just make up your own rules on the pitch. Part 4, the official roster, keeping the register updated. Every single FSP has a massive administrative duty, keeping an up-to-date register of representatives. It's exactly like a school's register of teachers. The school absolutely has to know who's in their classrooms. If a teacher quits, gets promoted, or leaves, they update the list.
An FSP does the exact same thing. If an advisor gets married and changes their surname, leaves the company, or gets a promotion, that central register has to accurately reflect the change. And there is absolutely no dragging your feet here. The timeline is super strict. The literal moment a change happens, the FSP has exactly 15 days to update its internal register. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Once that's done, they have another 15-day window to send that information straight to the FSCA. The regulator needs a real-time snapshot of exactly who is operating in the market.
So what happens if an FSB drops the ball and misses a deadline? Well, the penalty is a huge wake-up call. We are talking a fine of 1,000 Rand per day for every single change they fail to update. If a large firm forgets to update records for, say, 10 advisors who left last month, those daily fines are going to snowball into a catastrophic financial penalty incredibly fast. It absolutely forces total administrative discipline.
Which brings us to our final section, number 5, the danger of debarment, losing the license.
Debarment. It is the ultimate professional penalty. It basically means the rep entirely loses their legal permission to work in the financial services industry. Why would this happen? Usually it's because they are no longer fit and proper. We're talking fraud, dishonesty, faking qualifications, or serious misconduct, like lying to clients just to pocket a bigger commission. It is the exact equivalent of having your driver's license torn up permanently. The fallout from this is devastating and immediate. If you get debarred, you don't just lose your current job, you are scrubbed from the register entirely. And here's the kicker, you cannot simply walk across the street and get a job at another FSP. Just like a teacher who loses their license can't just go teach at the school next door, the financial industry does this to protect consumers, period.
But because this literally ruins careers, an FSB can't just debar someone on a whim. Legally, they are bound to follow a very strict 5-step fair process. First, they have to formally tell the rep they intend to debar them. Second, they have to explicitly lay out why. Third, they must give the rep a fair chance to respond and defend themselves. Fourth, they make the official decision. And fifth, if they do debar them, they notify the FSCA, who puts that person on a national public blacklist.
So, is it a life sentence? Usually no, but the climb back is incredibly steep. A brand new FSP has to be willing to apply on their behalf, and the conditions are tough. A minimum of 12 solid months must have passed. Any previous client complaints have to be fully resolved, and the FSP has to show hard, concrete proof that the person has regained their integrity and is actually fit and proper again. It is definitely not automatic. It has to be earned. Okay, let's pull this whole explainer together with a quick story to lock it all in your memory. Meet John. John wants to be an advisor at Discovery. First, Discovery hires him. Boom, there's his mandate. Next, they register him with the FSCA. He's got the green light. He's new, so he starts under supervision, just like our learner driver. Over time, he passes his exams, does his yearly CPD, and he's fully qualified. But then, John makes a terrible mistake and commits fraud. Discovery follows the 5-step process and debars him. He loses his job and can't work anywhere else. Finally, after 12 long months of proving he's changed and fixing his complaints, a new FSP takes a massive chance and applies for his reappointment. If you can just remember John's chronological journey, you've literally memorized the entire life cycle of a rep for your exams.
And that brings us to one final, really crucial point, especially looking at it from the perspective of an everyday consumer. The FSCA keeps a public register of all these authorized and debarred representatives. It's right there online for anyone to search. So I'll leave you with this thought. Knowing about all these strict rules, severe penalties, and fair processes designed entirely to protect your money, if you are buying life insurance tomorrow, would you take 5 minutes to check that public register before trusting the person sitting across the desk from you? Honestly, knowing what you know now, you probably should. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer on the FAIS Act. Keep on learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.